Yeehaw, partners, we're doing it. We are going full force on our Yeehaw Cowboy romances. I feel like cowboy romances give summer to me. They give summer vibes, and living in Texas this time of the year, it is summer. It's summer, especially as somebody who grew up in the north. This is summer style weather to me. So, with that being said, we do have some fun books to get to today. The first one we're going to be doing is this book, Duke, by Jessica Peterson. This is the most recent book in this series. I do think there's another one coming out called Rider, but this will get me caught up, which I am excited about. This series has been kind of mid for me. I gave book 1 3 stars, book 2 4 stars, book 3 2 stars. So we'll see how this one goes. I will definitely finish out the series, but if I end up not giving if I only gave book 2 4 stars and everything else under 4 stars, I will probably mail the series to my sister, but we will see. So this one says, one chance meeting at on a Texas ranch, one wild to charming cowboy, one snowed-in night that changes everything. I do love like a snowed-in situation, so I'm excited about that. Wheeler Rankin isn't here for romance. She's come to Lucky River Ranch to visit her best friend, wrangle a business deal, and prove herself to everyone who ever doubted her. But when she collides with Duke Rivers, resident heartbreaker, restless cowboy, and brother to her best friend's new flame, sparks fly hotter than a Texas summer. Duke has always dreamed of more than dusty trails and small-town life. He's itching to see the world, but one unforgettable night when Wheeler changes his course, when a blizzard and a business road trip leave them stranded together, their no-strings flirtation ignites into something deeper. But passion brings complications, and unexpected news threatens to upend everything Wheeler's built. As family pressures, old wounds, and new dreams collide, Duke is determined to stand by her side, ready to forge a future neither of them ever imagined. Can two fiercely independent souls trust in love, face their fears, and find home in each other's arms, or will the ghosts of the past keep them apart for good? Welcome back to Hartsville, where family is found, love is hard won, and every cowboy has a story worth telling. Something about the way that was worded makes me feel like this is going to be accidental pregnancy. So, we'll see. I've learned I don't hate accidental pregnancy. I would hate for it to happen to me, but in books it tends to lead to a man who's very much so a, if he wanted to, he would type energy, which I do love. The next book I picked up kind of like out of nowhere at the used bookstore, and I don't think that this is part of a series. I do think that this is a standalone at the time being, but this one's really cute. It's called The Brave and the Reckless by Dilan Dyer, and this one says, moving to the Wild West isn't exactly a part of Ezra Tanner's life plan, but when she drops out of med school and her brother suggests to join him in Bravetown, the Wild West theme park. Oh, it's a theme park. Okay. Where he's working for the summer, she can't find a good enough reason to say no. When she arrives, Ezra happens to be the perfect fit for the costumes of Bravetown resident damsel in distress, which means she's about to spend the summer being dramatically abducted by Ace Rider, the park's lawless cowboy. Ace is a definite yes please, with an evil smirk to make you lose your morals. But the man behind the costume, Noah Young, is about as exciting as a granola bar. That's funny. Noah and Ezra have no interest in each other outside their performances, but when their stunts start to go wrong and their futures in Bravetown are at risk, Ezra and Noah put their differences aside and soon realize the attraction between the characters might not be all for show. This sounds right up my alley. And then I've read all of Chestnut Springs. I liked most of the books, hated one of them, and thought one of them was just okay. But we are going to be starting the, what's this called? Gold Rush Ranch series with Off to the Races, which is book 1 to my knowledge. And so here we go. He's never had a problem keeping things professional with his employees until she waltzed onto his property. Vaughn Harding heads from city to small town Ruby Creek, intent on revitalizing his family's ranch, and the scandal attached to its name in the wake of his grandfather's unexpected passing. But he needs a win, and when he hires Billy Black to train his best but most stubborn racehorse, he hopes she can deliver. Billy is talented, whip-smart, sassy, and so damn tempting. She and Vaughn clash from the moment they meet, but he cannot stop thinking about her. And in a small town or an even smaller farm, it's hard to keep their distance, even harder to keep their friction from turning into fire. With every smart-mouthed comment, every game they play, Vaughn ends up wanting more. Her lips, her trust, her heart. Billy Black is the whole package, and possibly the only one who can save Vaughn's business. and him. Vaughn wants it all, but at what cost? Because for the first time, he doesn't just want to win races. He wants to win the girl. So, I'm pretty excited about all of these. I'm hoping that I like this. The last book I read in this series was so bad that it does have kind of a bad taste in my mouth for this book. So, here's to hoping. The amount of time that it has taken me to get halfway through this book is crazy. And I hate to say it, but as of right now, it's feeling like a 2-star, and I'm very devastated about this. Because I do think the cover of this is really cute. In this book, we've got our girl Ezra and our guy named Ace. And basically, Ezra is kind of like, her parents have cut her off. They're not getting along. We know that she has some sort of medical condition. They haven't said exactly what it is. Where like she has weak joints, like her hips and her knees. And her family's kind of shitty. They're like rich, shitty people. You know, the classic. And like growing up, she was made to feel like she was inconveniencing her people because of her medical conditions. And so she was going to school to get into like research medicine, basically as kind of like a passion project because of how many nurses and stuff she spent her time with as a kiddo. She doesn't want to do it anymore, so she dropped out of school. Her parents are pissed. They cut her off. She gets this job with her brother. She and her brother were in some sort of accident. That's what all we really know. And like he is now deaf because of the accident, and she has these mobility situation, and she gets this job working with her brother at this yeehaw themed like amusement park, basically like a cowboy themed Wild West theme park. Okay, that's the words I was looking for. Her brother does like interpretation, like sign language, and she was going to be working scooping ice cream. They instead get her to do this job, basically being one of the performers in this like production that they put on at the park, and everybody's kind of like pissed because she's like tan, she's like more brown with like curly short brown hair. The girl who played her before was like blonde with blue eyes, whatever. So she's getting all this hate online. Well, she's very like fun and flirty, whatever, but she's kind of dealing with a lot of issues because she hasn't told anybody about her like medical situation. And riding horses doesn't really work great when your hips are fucked. So she's struggling there, but also kind of wanting to fuck the guy who's playing her love interest in the play. Show, whatever. I don't know. It's quite boring. I am not very entertained at this point in time. I'm just kind of like here for the ride. The spicy scenes so far have been so corny about him like basically fingering her with these like black gloves on. Girl, I don't fucking care. I am so bored, and that's kind of where we are at right now. Okay guys, we have finished The Brave and the Reckless, and I do fear I had to give it 2 stars. It's just one of those books, like you ever read a book and it just feels like nothing. That's really where this one lands for me. It wasn't good, it wasn't bad, it was literally nothing, and I'm already forgetting about it, and I just finished the audiobook. The second half of the book is really a lot going into Ezra's medical condition and how she is sick of people trying to take care of her all of the time, and how this kind of leads into some issues when people do need to help take care of her, but she doesn't want them to, and then she runs away and goes back home and then comes back. It was just truly boring. I don't recommend. But I am about to start Off to the Races, and the audio for this is only like 9 hours. The audio for this was like 12 hours. But I did just realize that this much of the book is a prequel novella. So maybe that's why, because technically the actual book is only like 350 pages, and then this other like 100 pages is a novella. I don't know, but we are gonna get started on this. I might finish this today. I have about an hour and a half until I'm gonna be doing a journaling like a virtual journaling session with some friends, but I'm going to listen to this until it's time for that, and I am hoping that this ends up better than this. I'll check in obviously halfway through. I should be able to get about halfway through this because I do listen at 3 times speed, but I don't know. This does not have great ratings, which I thought like all of Elsie Silver's books had really good ratings, but this has like a 3.6, and that's a little bit terrifying to me because this had like a 3.75 or 3.8. So I'm a little bit nervous, but we're gonna jump into this one. This is the one I have the highest hopes for, and then we'll finish this video out with Duke last, because that one I feel like it's probably gonna be a 3 stars. That's how I felt. Well, no. I've given one book in the series 3 stars, one book in the series 4 stars, and one book in that series 2 stars. So that one's really a coin toss how I'm gonna feel. But this one, I've read Chestnut Springs and I liked all besides Hopeless. I thought Hopeless sucked, but I really enjoyed the rest of the books in that series, so I'm hoping that I will enjoy this. But who knows? I actually have no idea what it's about, but we'll figure it out. I'm sure it's about horses in some way, shape, or form. We're about halfway through Off to the Races now, and I can tell you what it's about. I am liking it. It's feeling like a 3 as of right now, and this is not feeling like a romance really to me. If you've seen the movie Flicka, it kind of reminds me of that. So this is about this girl Billy. She comes from this prestigious family. We don't really know a ton about them. She was doing some horse training in Ireland and her work visa was up, and so now she's interviewing to work at Gold Rush Ranch. This guy, Vaughn, which I think is such a not hot name, so it's hard for me to picture him being a hot guy. But this guy, Vaughn, kind of inherited this ranch from his grandfather when his grandfather died. He was raised by his grandfather, who kind of has a bad reputation of being kind of a shitty person. And it's kind of like that vibe in, like, if you've read the book Face Off, where he didn't know that Billy was a girl. And so he's kind of thrown off by that, but he's accepting of it. But he doesn't want really to hire anybody. He's pissed about this whole thing, and so he's making her life really hard. He shows her the files on all of the horses with barely any information, and is like, pick which one you think is, like, the best. And there's this one like black horse who looks like a mess, like their fur is matted, whatever, and she's like, why does he look like this? He has a very prestigious bloodline. Like literally it's giving like this, like, I think because Flicka is also about a black horse, a wild black horse, it's like the same energy. But this horse got issues, and its previous trainer was horrible towards him, and he's just, people say, crazy. Like his name's Double Diablo, and everybody thinks he's like the devil horse. And she picks that horse, and he's like, okay, we're gonna hire you temporarily, but he has to win a race in order for you to be permanently hired. So now we're kind of following Billy on her efforts to train this horse, get him to trust her, being able to like approach her, be able to be ridden. And we've just gotten through his first race, and the jockey who was riding him, she was not happy about him riding him, and she gave him explicit instructions to not use like the whip because it will startle him, blah 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 blah, this race is just for practice, so on and so forth. And what does he do in the race? He uses the whip, and she freaks out. She freaks out, slaps him, because he's like, oh, it doesn't actually hurt them. So she smacks him on the ass and goes, yeah, and he yelps, and she's like, yeah, that didn't hurt. What do you mean? I thought you said that didn't hurt. So she's kind of really sassy and fun. I just am not believing this as a romance. She and Vaughn have like made out a couple of times, and that's like fine, and they have like this attraction to each other, but nothing about this halfway feels like we're getting into a romance. It feels like this is the story about Billy and this horse that she's calling Dee Dee because she says his name sucks. And I was reading some reviews, and Jan, if you guys watch Jan Agaton, she read this and said that this was a book about the horse. She gave it 4 stars, but said this is more about a book about Billy and the horse than a romance, and that is how I'm feeling, but it's not like a bad thing. It's just the truth of the matter. Okay, friends, we have finished Off to the Races. We're gonna be starting Duke. That's the plan of action for the day. I have not started Duke, but I'm gonna tell you about Off to the Races while I make myself lunch. What's for lunch, you may ask? The answer is ramen. have this pot that's like clear. It's very interesting when you're cooking because you can like see it boiling. But my dishes are a mountain that needs to be tackled by my husband, but he got home hella fucking late last night. So, whatever. But I'm working away today and I did finish off to the races. And unfortunately, I guess, this is the kind of ramen I like. Whenever I'm eating just ramen for lunch, I make 2 packages. And I'm lazy and don't like to twirl noodles or like use chopsticks, whatever. I just want to eat this with a spoon and shovel it down my throat. So I smash the noodles so they're not as long. And that's just what we do around these parts. My grandma used to do this for me as a kid, and it's just something that makes me think about it. So, the second half of the book, you know, we're continuing on with Billy and her, like, training this horse. It's, like I said, very much so giving Flicka energy. Even in the sense, like, if you've watched the movie Flicka, where, like, they try to sell the horse, and then she, like, throws a fit, runs away, blah, 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 blah. It was literally like Flicka, okay? So much of it. And I actually really enjoyed that part. I loved the actual story of Billy and the horse Dee Dee. Like, that part was so good and so entertaining to me. But there was, first off, so many spice scenes, which is like, whatever. But, I also am literally gonna put because I don't have to for it to cool down. But basically, I did not believe in Vaughn and Billy's relationship. Like, there was no chemistry between them, if you ask me. They were just like 2 people that got together by happenstance rather than there being anything between them. Like, truly, I felt nothing for them. Nothing at all. Not even a little bit of chemistry. So when they're fucking and doing XYZ, I'm just like, why? So that kind of took me out of the story a bit, and because there was so many spice scenes, including an epilogue spice scene, I'm just like, I don't care. So I ended up giving it 3 stars because I did really enjoy Billy. I loved Billy and I loved her relationship with Dee Dee and getting to see her train Dee Dee and come into her own, escape like the grip her family had on her and really like prove who she was. I loved that. I loved getting to see her relationship with Violet, but I just didn't like the romance. Like, I did not believe in the romance whatsoever. So now we're gonna move into Duke. I think the newest book of this either just came out or is about to come out. It's called Rider, and I think it's the last book. This has been a very all over the place series for me. As I mentioned, I gave book 1 3 stars, book 2 4 stars, and book 3 2 stars. So we've never had a 1 or a 5. Hopefully this maybe could be our 5, or maybe at least another 4. Because, you guys, this reading month has been so mid so far. We're like almost halfway through May, and I've barely read anything, and I've had so many 2 and 3 stars, and I'm really deeply over it. And I thought, you know, going into these yeehaw books, I would be having some winners because I tend to really love a cowboy romance, but everything's disappointing me and making me sad. So that's kind of where we're at. We had a 2 star, we had a 3 star, so maybe we're like crawling our way up, and then this one's gonna be a 4. I don't know how long the audio is, but it's like 1 o'clock, and I'll probably be working for at least 6 more hours. And I listen at 3 times speed, so unless this audio book is 20 hours, I will most likely finish this today. I'm gonna watch YouTube while I eat though, and then we'll get into Duke. I mean, well, you guys can come with me. Also, it's so funny, pretty much every book besides, if you watched my May buzzword video, there's one book from that video that's not in this color scheme, but when I look at the books I've read or am reading this month, it's literally like all blues and purples, except for Colin. But we can go check and see how long the audio is. I think I have it on Audible because I do believe that the series is been awful. Excuse me. That shit's so fucking corny. So corny. Literally so corny. Makes me so mad. Truly. This is Audible. Yeah, because the last book I listened to on here was Sawyer. Well, the last book in this series. Yes, it's 11 hours and 25 minutes. So it will take me about 5 hours to listen to it. 4 hours and 58 minutes. So I should finish it today for the most part. We shall see. Hopefully. But, you know, if we don't, that's fine too. There's always tomorrow. But I'm gonna go finish making my food. LOL, I told myself I was going to listen to this until I finished it and then I'd be done working for the day. I was gonna work until I finished this book. And it just hit me, oh my god, I haven't talked to you guys about it yet, and I'm like 60% of the way through. But this is pretty cute so far. This is accidental pregnancy. I'm not sure if it mentions that. But passion brings complications and unexpected news. I feel like it's kind of implied. But basically, this is about Wheeler. She is best friends with Molly, who is the main female character in book 1. They own a company called Bellamy Brooks Boots, where they make like these fancy, super like feminine, cutesy cowboy boots. And so they have this company together, and she is in town doing stuff with her, so on and so forth, and they need to go to this trunk show. Molly cannot go because she is pregnant, and her doctor has advised her basically not to go. And there's a snowstorm, so she and Duke he volunteers to take her. Duke works on the Lucky River Ranch. However, he doesn't really necessarily want to be a rancher. He is not as passionate about this whole ranching thing as his brothers are. He kind of wants to explore the world. While they are on this trip to wherever for this trunk show, I think they're going to Aspen, they end up stuck in like a snowstorm. They lose power, so on and so forth, and one thing leads to another. They have to warm up somehow, so they just start fucking nonstop. She misses her birth control pill, and now she is pregnant. She doesn't want to tell him because she doesn't know if she wants to keep the baby, and even though we're at 60% of the way through, she's still kind of waffling whether or not she wants to keep the baby because she has all these goals for her career, and he doesn't know what he wants to do with his life. He wants to travel, explore the world, and really find himself. But she also has all these familial traumas because her family really sucks. Her mom got unexpectedly pregnant with her older sibling, and they got married. And they shouldn't have. They were not good together. Her dad was very abusive towards her mother, and they're now going through a very messy divorce. So she's kind of seeing a lot of parallels with like her mom getting unexpectedly pregnant, keeping the baby, and then her life kind of not being able to be hers. Her business is really taking off right now, and she wants to be able to focus on it, but also the idea of not having this baby is also weighing heavy on her heart. So she is working with Duke and everybody around Lucky River Ranch. Everybody's really being supportive of them and whatever they choose to do. This book is also talking a lot about the issues of them not really having many choices living in Texas, and like their options is to have the baby or go to Mexico, if you know what I mean. Or New Mexico. They can either go to Mexico or New Mexico. Either way, they got to get the hell out of Dodge if they don't want to keep the baby. And so they're kind of going back and forth. I think they're going to keep the baby, but I do like that they're actually having that talk. I think that's nice, and really going over what the pros and cons, the things they have going on in their lives. And she's thinking, you know what? He might be somebody that I already am falling in love with. So far, this is definitely the best one of the books in this video, and I think that this is going to end up being a 4-star by the end, which I am very, very happy about because this video has been rough. These cowboys have not been doing it for me at all. You guys, I just took the most glorious like 1,000-degree temperature shower, and I'm wearing a blanket because I don't have pants on. Anywho, I just finished Duke, and the way that this book feels like it was written by an entirely different person than book 3 in this series. Book 3, Sawyer, in this series was actually so incredibly bad in my opinion. It's actually so funny because I just saw somebody rate that book 5 stars and say it's their favorite one in the series. So different strokes for different folks. But this book, I actually ended up really liking this. There was a discovery that I made earlier this year. I used to always say that I hate accidental pregnancy books because as somebody who's child-free by choice and has absolutely no interest in having a baby, the idea of accidentally falling pregnant, horrifying. Like, as a 30-year-old, I'm gonna be 31 this year, like, when I see people posting pregnancy announcements, I'm like, oh my god, that was like on purpose. Like, shocking behavior to me. So I was like, yeah, I hate accidental pregnancy because it's my worst nightmare. But actually, in books that have accidental pregnancy, it tends to have a lot of things I love, which is a very much like acts of service type of man, stepping up, being there for you, supporting you, loving you, caring about you, blah, 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 which are all things that I live, laugh, love. So I've kind of changed my mindset about accidental pregnancy. I don't seek it out by any stretch of the imagination, but it is not an instant turn off for me. And I do think that it led so much into the story. I really liked getting to see Wheeler confront her parents, deal with those family dynamics, as well as get to see she and Luke realize that whether or not they have this baby doesn't make or break their life. It'll change their life in a great way, but it doesn't mean that it's going to inherently make it worse. And that one thing that's like a big drawing factor is that Wheeler doesn't want to be like her mother, because her mother fell pregnant, married this man, had babies, whatever. But she comes to this kind of like, she has this like come to Jesus moment where she's like, well, the difference between me and my mom is she and my dad were never friends. Like, me and Duke, like, we actually care about each other and we already were friends. So it's a totally different dynamic than what my parents had. And getting to see their relationship grow through the second half of this book was really, really good. And I did end up giving this 4 stars. So that's like a big upswing for this series, because now we have a 3-star, 2 4-stars, and a 2-star. So the final book will really be the make or break it for this series, book 5, about Ryder, who is Duke's twin brother. But with that being said, we are done with this cowboy romance video. Honestly, I filmed the intro to this, I think like 2 months ago, truly. And then I just kept putting it off. But I'm glad we finally got to them. And I am a yeehaw loving girly. So let me know if there's any other cowboy romance series or individual, I feel like all of them were series, but if there's any like individuals, what's the word I'm looking for? One-offs? I don't know. I've read all of Rebel Blue Ranch. I've read all of Chestnut Springs. We're starting our journey with, what's off to the races? What's that ranch? A Gold Rush Ranch. We're starting that. We're getting through Lucky River, and I do own, I own like the Wild Love series by Elsie Silver. Haven't read that yet, but I do believe that's also maybe Cowboys. And I have the Holding the Reins series. I have that whole series by Paisley Hope. So let me know what cowboy romances I'm missing out on. And that's gonna be everything, friends. See you later. Bye.